pretty much gay people are human too. That's just how it goes. Where was I getting to with that, though? Now, I do not agree at all about being trans. If you're going to get really offended by this, that's your problem, because it's just a full-on opinion. It's nothing bad against them, or you, if you're watching this. It seems so hypocritical to me that people say that they should be able to become how they truly feel and who they really are, but shouldn't the way you were made, I want to say by God, but not everyone sees it that way. So just how you were made by nature, you should be proud of that and happy with it. Now, I mean, it's like, so like, let's say you feel like you should be a woman. You were born a boy and you're like, I should have boobs and I shouldn't have this between my legs. How do you think all of these flat-chested girls who grow up without the graciousness of being voluptuous, they just live with it? Some girls get it fixed, which, again, I don't agree with. Like, you shouldn't change yourself. You should be proud of who you are. That's how I see it. Being a boy wanting to be a girl is like when you're flat-chested and you're like, no, I need to have boobs because that's what a woman is like. No, be proud of what you are. If you want to wear a dress, though, like if you are a born dude and you want to wear a dress, put on makeup, paint your nails, have a purse on you, go for it. There is nothing wrong with liking feminine things. But changing who you are and how you were born is not the way to go. And again, I can see how, like, pronouns are just a thing, you know, like you say, like, it has to be he and she, which is kind of funny that people are so particular about those pronouns when they were literally just, like, words made up to define somebody. But it helps, I guess. Because I am totally fine with feminine people. My husband is quite feminine at times. Probably more than me. I just think it's horrible. I just think it's sad that people aren't happy with the way they're born and they feel like they should have to be something different. The whole name change thing, though, it's kind of interesting, though, that you're given your name for life from your parents and you don't get to make that decision. So if you want to change your name, I mean, that's fine, even if it's kind of a female-ish name. If you like the name, you like it. But I feel like people go over the edge and choose these really ridiculous names. Like, why go that far? Like, they'll rename themselves to, like, I don't know how to say something without offending someone who has that name or just really loves it. But, like, they just do really overdramatic, ridiculous names. Like Starlight. And sometimes you can say that's as a stage name, which is totally fine. Stage names are fun. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to change your name, though, and how you're referred to as, that should be fine. You should be able to change your name because you didn't get to choose it at birth. I don't know why it has to be a female name. It could be any name you want. It could be a unisex name. Just be classy with it. Don't make it over dramatic and ridiculous where people are just going to be like, when they hear your name. I think drag is an interesting concept because, like I said, if guys want to dress up in girl clothes and put makeup on and all that, go for it. Have fun. Dress up. We like doing it. Girls love being able to dress up. That's what I did today. It's what we like to do because it makes us feel pretty. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't understand the way drag is now, where it's like the ugliest thing. It's like clowns. I don't get it. I have seen some really good drag where it's like, I wish I could look like that. And it makes you really female. I feel like there should be a way of doing drag, like, on guys, like putting makeup on that just, you still look like really masculine and sexy. I don't know why it always has to be feminine when they do drag. Like, I don't see why there isn't a way that you could do, like, manly makeup. I guess that is kind of hard to do. And I've probably seen it before. It'd be interesting to see. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, they're still people. They still have their rights as well. Don't call them it. They're a human being. They're not an it. If I knew someone was a girl, but they wanted to be a boy, in my mind I would recognize them as a girl, but I would still refer to them as a boy because I'm not going to start arguments. It's just a depiction of how they want to be referred to as. That's fine. Like, don't start an argument. Don't just be like, you mean her? And don't say it, whatever it is. Like, they're still a human being. And the thing is that even if they don't know what gender they want to be, which doesn't make sense to me, like, they're still a human being. They're not an it. They're not a thing. They're a person with emotions who's just trying to figure themselves out. We're all trying to do that. You're trying to figure out who you really are, and in the meantime, you're being a complete asshole. So should we treat you like you're just a straight asshole for the rest of your life because you're trying to figure out who you are and you're not really sure what you like because you keep changing your mind and you're not sure what relationships you want to have with people? No, you're figuring yourself out. You're a human being. What's next? Going in with the whole one side's all about American rights versus human rights, because again, saying that, oh, it used to be gays couldn't get married. Why are they getting married now? We should take that away. You made a rule before and it's changed, so why not keep it that way and why have to change it again? If you don't like rules changing, then why change it back? It's just changing it more. And the whole concept of how this is not giving insight to my political parties or who I voted for. This is literally like, I see both sides of everything. It may seem one-sided at this point, but these are actually like my independent viewpoints. It's not going one way or the other. This is just how I see things. But everyone talks about how the liberals want to change, like rewrite the Constitution. Yeah, so? Like, I don't okay, so people who really think that change is a bad thing are like 100% the reason why there's still racism and segregation, because they used to be slaves. Now they're not. Something was changed and rewritten for that to happen, right? Let's see. There were kings and monarchs and pharaohs and dictators. Things changed, and now there's not. I mean, at least in American standards. Other countries deal with that. It's so mind-blowing that people are so afraid of change just because it doesn't coincide with what they want, instead of the bigger picture and what benefits everybody. Things can change. That reminds me about, I didn't even get to vent about this because I don't want to be that person, but that just reminds me of a boss I had in the recent past who told me that that's how businesses are. It's a dictatorship. They tell you what to do. You're like, you're not supposed to have him, like, pretty much he said, businesses are a dictatorship. That's how it's always been. And so I told him, things change though. Things always change, so why can't that change? Like, that's wrong that's how it has to be, because things are able to change. And he tells me you can't tell your boss that they're wrong. Isn't that the whole point of the presidency, is that you can tell them they're wrong because they're supposed to be doing what's best for the people and not what they think is right? That they're supposed to be like the spokesperson and representative for all the American people? So just because, I think the fact is that the best choice for president isn't who fits your beliefs. Yeah, that's a factor. But really, you should be looking at who's going to benefit everybody as a whole. Now, giving people what they want is not considered a benefit. If it's like, oh, you get tax write-offs, oh, you get away with this, oh, you get stuff that benefits you. No, I'm talking about real human benefits, as in getting health care. Pretty much having rights, as in they shouldn't be able to control a lot of our possessions. Think about it. You're not allowed to legally own certain animals, certain exotic animals. It's not just because, they're exotic, you can't have them. It's because they're dangerous, they're rare and endangered, they're not fit for a certain climate. It's not just because they're special. They're special for a reason. It's for your safety and everyone else's that you can't own a tiger in the back suburbs of Nashville. You can't go walking a freaking hippo down Wall Street, because does that make sense? It would be dope. It would be super cool to be like, this is my pet hippo. You want to pet him? Not safe. There's a reason why certain rules exist, for the safety of others. Oh, going back to the trans thing and rights to decisions. Parents should not be able to allow their children a sex change before the age that they can make the decision themselves. Parents shouldn't be able to make a decision for someone else. Let's say, if you're... It's kind of hard because it's kids are too young to make certain decisions for themselves, but parents shouldn't be able to make a decision for someone else. And the whole point of them being able to make a decision for someone else is that they're supposed to know better for them. But having a very drastic change like that is, it's I guarantee a lot of people who are a lot of people who think that a parent can make the decisions for their child wouldn't be happy if they had an arranged marriage. If you were forced to marry something because your parents chose it for them, you probably wouldn't be too happy. Yet you think your parents can make a decision like changing your entire physical reconstruction? If you want to do that when you're legally of age, go for it. It's your choice. I don't think a parent should be able to make that big of a decision. Kind of like the vaccine thing. It's very picky because the parent should be doing what's best for the kid. But of course, a lot of times getting the vaccines is what's best for the kid, and the parent neglects to do that. And so the kid, it's not for their health. So there's fine lines, and it's hard to depend on what the parent has a right to choose for the kid, and when the government is able to step in without interfering with private life. See, it's so complicated. You see how complicated it is to get people what they want and what they need at the same time? Complicated. Hard to do when a lot of people don't want to work together. Trying to think of what else has been on my mind lately. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it there, because it's been almost 40 minutes, and if I have more come to mind, I can talk about it later. If you actually made it to the end of this video, congratulations! Just on the fact that you weren't overly sensitive and offended and you stuck through this just to find out my opinion. I'm grateful. That's surprising. I have a feeling a lot of people won't get to the end of this, but I think it feels good finally being able to voice my opinion on certain things. I don't think it's really anybody's business to have to know how people feel about certain things. if someone literally thinks that you don't deserve basic human rights or deserve to live, it'd be nice to know that from that person, because I'd avoid them. But people don't really need to know your private thoughts. But on the other side of that, I don't see why people shouldn't have to know your private thoughts. People keep saying TMI, TMI. Now, there's some things that some people don't need to know that's just disturbing or just not for them to know. Respect that. But I think there's nothing wrong with being an open book and letting people know how you feel and think. And if they want to judge you harshly for it, that's on them. If they're going to be like, that's an interesting point. I don't agree, but I'm glad to know how they feel and think. Good for you. Probably end it here because I really don't know how else to think. And my brain is kind of going, which is another thing I'd like to talk about at some point, is anxiety. Okay, bye-bye.